If you need immediate help, please call the National Substance Abuse and Mental Health Hotline at 1-800-662-HELP.
Bottle of wine, fruit of the vine. When you gonna let me get sober? Let me go home and start over.
Welcome to Clean and Sober Radio, brought to you in part by Jefferson University Hospitals and Thomas Jefferson University, providing excellent clinical and compassionate care in the Philadelphia region, a proven leader in healthcare and education since 1825. And now, here are your hosts, Gary Hendler and Mark Sigmund.
Hey, hi, everybody, and thanks for joining us at Clean and Sober Radio out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Clean and Sober Radio features real people with real stories about addiction to drugs and alcohol. Mark, what's new this week in recovery news?
So we have extended coverage of smuggling and everything to do with drugs and alcohol. And I got to tell you, when many people think of Florida, some of the first things that come to mind are weather, strong economy, and masses of retirees. But what they're seeing is more and more cocaine washing up on the shores. One report was $500,000 worth of cocaine that just washed up on the Panhandle. 25 packages of roughly 70 pounds each was discovered at a beach in the Florida Keys. You also had 25 kilograms of cocaine, roughly 100 feet underwater off Key West. This is all in the last couple years. And what they're saying is the drug dealers, sometimes what they do is when they go to meet the other boats, they put it in the water to float over, or they leave it in the water with some kind of flotation on it. And some of it gets away and has been washing up in Florida.
So that's the place to visit. That's the place to go on the beach if you're still using, right?
I mean, absolutely. and you just got to think of back in the day, what you would have turned that in, I'm sure, right?
You mean to the authorities?
To the authorities.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, back in the day, you're walking along the beach, but you know, it is pretty crazy. And on a serious note, you know, they've even said some of the sharks are getting a hold of these packages of cocaine, and they've had.
Are they using or are they selling?
They're eating it, and they found that they're more violent and come after people more. So that's in the news this week. Yeah.
So that's the big news.
That's
right?
the big story. I told you before the show I had a good story. So
you know, I think this is Shark Week. Have you been watching?
I have not been watching. Are we going there again?
I have been. And last night there was a show on what to do if you're attacked by a shark.
You punch him in the nose.
You punch him in the nose
And
or in his eye.
Yeah, and you push him away at the same time.
Yeah, you push away 800-pound fish. He's biting, and you're looking for his eye to stick your finger in.
Yeah, stick your fingers right in his eyes. Yeah. I think it would work. You know, so and
here's what I know. We're getting off track a bit. Somebody gets attacked by a shark.
Yeah,
I don't understand. The next day, people are surfing in that water.
I know, and they look like seals because when they're on their surfboards, they're flapping around and they look just like shark food, you know. And a lot of times the sharks, they're mistaking everything from, you know, seeing a flash of somebody's watch to, you know, they're mistaking them for fish or
Well,
mammals.
I'm gonna tell you what I'm worried about now. If the coke and stuff is washing up on the shores of Florida, the sharks know it. And they're coming closer to the shore to get their fix.
Absolutely. I mean, it's actually a pretty serious thing in the Keys right now. And I know you don't have to worry about it because you don't swim.
Well, I can swim.
He can swim.
Don't swim.
He just doesn't swim because he's afraid of sharks.
No. What is the purpose of swimming in open water?
It's refreshing and you feel like part of the ocean. And, you know, I don't really swim in open water either, just so you know.
All right. So before all our listeners turn us off, let's
they probably already
this.
did.
When we come back, one of our favorite guests is with us today, Randy Lerch, former Major League Baseball pitcher and also a great batter. And he's going to be with us. He's going to tell a story about his career and what happened with the addiction and all sorts of stuff. And this is the chance if you want to speak to Randy Lerch. When we come back, we'll put the number out, and you'll have the opportunity to talk to a really great guy. We'll be right back.
This is Clean and Sober Radio.
A cancer diagnosis can knock the wind out of you. The Sidney Kimmel Cancer Center at Abington Jefferson Health can help. Our brand new Asplund Cancer Pavilion brings you 86,000 square feet of cancer-fighting science for truly comprehensive care. Backed by the strength of an NCI-designated cancer center. Call 1-800-JEFF now. The Sidney Kimmel Cancer Center at Abington Jefferson Health. The power to out-science cancer.
Hi, this is Randy the Blade Lerch. I listen to Clean and Sober Radio.
610-632-8601. This is Clean and Sober Radio.
Hey, we're back. You can. Our listeners and viewers can enjoy our show anytime in Philadelphia on WWDB AM 860. Also in Philadelphia, WPEN 97.5 FM High Def 2. If you're in Augusta, Georgia, WGAC. If you're in Tampa, Florida, WJBR. And if you're anywhere else on this planet, you can listen and watch Mark and I do the show. But right now, Randy Lerch, welcome to Clean and Sober Radio.
Randy.
Well, Gary and Mark, it's great to be with you guys again. You know, I was listening to the the promo of me, and I thought, holy cow, that was about 6 or 7 years ago I did that. That's amazing.
That's
That is
right.
amazing.
That is right. He's right. Well, how are you, brother?
You know, I'm doing pretty good. I had a funny one. You know, just real quick, you're talking about those sharks and the cocaine thing. What, you hear about all these shark attacks and stuff. What if they've been mixing some marijuana in there and these sharks had the munchies?
Hey, that's a good point.
It's possible. And, Randy, the crazy thing is,
Anyway.
like, biologists are actually saying that these sharks are more aggressive from the cocaine. Isn't that crazy?
You know something.
Well, how they do? Are they snorting
Anyway.
it or are they shooting it?
they're
What are they doing?
eating it. They're eating it. Yes.
Hey, Randy, you, by the way, September 3rd, you have I think a 9-year anniversary, don't you?
I wrote it in my notes, not that I needed to, but thank you for remembering. I absolutely do.
Yeah.
It's going to be 9 years or so.
All right. You've heard that applause before.
Yeah, you heard that. Yes, yeah. All right, Randy,
Yeah.
let's get to it, brother. Because I know that our conversations with you go so out of whack and so beautiful when we talk about your TR6. We talk about that big white dog. We talk about a lot of stuff, right?
That's true.
All right.
Because there's so much there.
We're going to cover a lot in the next 50 minutes, whatever it is. All right. So you were born in California, weren't you?
Yep, Rancho Cordova, California. When it was just nothing but just a old hick town, cow town.
Were your parents Were you farmers or what? Cattlemen or?
We weren't farmers, but we were. My dad was a fireman. Before that, he owned his own butcher, meat cutting business, butcher store.
Right.
But then, of course, when the big grocery stores, the chains came about, they ran him out of business. So he became a fireman, and he also, from after being a fireman, he went off to school and became one of the first fire chiefs of Rancho Cordova. So my dad was a fire chief.
Wow. Now, do you have any siblings?
Sorry about that. I've got 2 brothers and a sister, 4 of us all together, and my 2 brothers right now they're fishermen. I don't know if we talked about this before, but the youngest he's not actually on the show, but they fish out of the same area. Out of Alaska, as they do with Deadliest Catch.
You're kidding. I love that show.
It's a great show. Yes.
It's a great show. Wow.
Yeah, I don't know if you see it on that show, they have the guys that do, that fix the engines and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Out in the middle of nowhere, when something breaks down, you got to have somebody that knows what they're doing. That's what my brother does.
I'm going to look then.
I'm
I'm going to look at the next show and see in the credits. I'm sure Lerch will be there, right?
No kidding, right? But no, they're fishermen, and my sister, she's pretty excited because it took her a while, but she's had her first 2 grandkids. One's 4 and one's a newborn.
Uh-huh.
So she's a stay-at-home grandma, and we're getting old.
Listen, I'm not going to say how old you are. I know exactly how old you are, but I don't like to think about that. You know that? Randy, I still think I'm in high school, except when I get up from the chair and it aches like hell. You know?
Isn't that so true? You know, for me personally, I'm a miracle by God's grace.
Yep.
Because, you know, not only with the drugs and alcohol thing, but you know, I've had double hip replacement. I live with rheumatoid arthritis. I'm a diabetic. You know, it goes on and on. So God's given me this time to be able to, you know, write my book and share the story, hopefully to help others with this horrible addiction problem.
All right, if we're comparing surgeries, I've had both knees replaced.
Okay.
I have had. What was the second thing you had?
I had both hips done. I've had my shoulder done. Both eyes were surgically repaired.
I thought you were going to say
Gary's-
removed, but
Gary's going to lose this little
No, I'm not.
competition he started because you got liver stuff too, right?
wait a minute.
Or-
I've had 6 hernia repairs. How many have you had, Randy?
Holy cow!
oh,
That's
no.
right.
You know what? When somebody's had 6 hernia repairs,
Yeah.
that means that they weren't listening to the doctor after the first one.
No, it's I keep lifting up the back of automobiles by myself to help people get out from
okay.
underneath.
No, every other week he goes to sit down in his chair for this show, and he's like, "Man, I just popped a hernia again."
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So, growing up, did you have were you a baseball fan? I mean, I know most kids would love to be a major baseball league player. Did you have your eyes on that as a kid?
You know, Gary, I don't want to put the pressure on you, but obviously you didn't read my book because that's just the start of my
I
book.
read your
you know,
book.
about what-
Let's talk about your book, God in the Dugout. Let's talk about your book. If that's where we're going right now, first of all, it's a great book, and if you want it, you can get it on Amazon, correct?
Yes. Yeah, it's actually it's the 19th. It came through the 19th of July this year. Was 6 years it's been out,
Uh-huh.
and you know I've done my best to get it out and get it to as many people as I can. And you know, a few people have said that it's helped them a lot. So that's the main thing.
Absolutely, and it's called God in the Bullpen. It's interesting because your writer on this is a guy named Harold Lerch. No relationship to you, but the same last name.
Isn't that amazing? And what's even crazier is that the way we met was that when I was playing with the Phillies, and you know his last name being Lerch, and his father taking him to the Phillies game, his dad told him, you know, meaning Harold, to go and see if Randy Lerch will sign a baseball for you. Wow. And I talked to him, and I signed a baseball, and he we ended up hooking up through that, and then he wanted to see if you know, through ancestry and all that stuff, if we were really we related. So
right.
He went through that, found out it wasn't true, but we got to talking that way, and he talked me into getting together and writing this book.
Oh man, that is fantastic. Well, you have a very interesting career and story. We're going to get into it. Now, look, you're you know, Mark here, my co-host, is a tall guy, but what are you, 6'4" or something?
You're cutting. Maybe I shrunk an inch, Gary, but yeah, around that size, around 6'5".
Okay, was that a help for you being a pitcher on the mound, or not?
You know, I think it was. What's amazing is for some reason the Phillies pitchers in those at that time were all real tall. I mean, we had Carlton, Christensen.
Yeah.
You mean Wayne Twitchell? We had Jim Lomborg, Jim Cott, Ron Reed, and not every single one of them were at least 6'4". And then and then there was little Tug McGraw.
Right. Well, Randy, I can imagine if you're tall, the leverage or you're throwing it. You're throwing it straight but down a little bit, which would increase the speed of the ball. Now, I don't actually know what I'm saying right now, but it would appear that height would be a good thing.
Well, I apologize for not answering your question. What you asked was, did it help? And I just went off with tall pitchers. So,
That's all right.
like I always do.
That's okay.
So, I'm sorry. But, yeah, I tend to think that guys that are taller have a little bit more leverage and can throw the ball harder. You have a bigger angle when you're throwing to the hitter. And I see a lot of like the Dodger pitchers and stuff like that. Ohtani, he is he's 6'4" or 5, and while we're on Ohtani, did you hear that I'm in the same category for something with him? Can you believe that?
Is that Connie Mack you're talking about?
No, Ohtani.
Oh,
Ohtani, the great player with was it Shohei Ohtani or something like that with the Dodgers?
Well, what's he? What do you join with him? What special thing?
My dog, what was it? Was it the Brewers or the Twins? I think, and the Dodgers were playing, and Ohtani, he's a pitcher too, right?
Yeah,
He was pitching that game, so he ended up giving up a home run in the first inning. Then he comes up in the bottom of the first, and he hits a home run. And my daughter's listening to the Dodgers game. I don't know why, she's a big Dodgers fan, but she gets a hold of me and says, well, they just mentioned you and Ohtani because you and him are the one of two pitchers that have given up a home run and hit a home run in the first inning in history.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Well, not for me because the game that I gave up my home run in was to Dave Kingman. He hit that ball over that famous apartment complex at Wrigley Field.
Yeah.
The ball's still gone, and that was the 23-22 game.
And you also were I know in the past you've told us that you were really good at hitting.
That's a special thing with Randy because besides being a great pitcher, he was a hitter.
He was a hitter, and there was a question that one of our audience had asked about. Wasn't there a time when you hit a big home run?
Yeah, and Randy, one of our listeners who happens to be a judge around here, he wanted to know when you hit those home runs, what are you thinking as you're running around the ballpark? Are you thinking to yourself like, is this for real? Or what's going through your head when you hit a home run and the whole place is going crazy? And I just want to mention the person who asked the question was Judge Christopher Maddox, a great guy around here, and he wanted to know the answer to that.
Well, hi, Judge. God bless you for all you do, Mr. Maddox. But no, you know what? The game has changed so much, guys, that in those days, when you hit a home run, you made sure that you didn't show up the pitcher you hit it off of. You make sure you're professional. You run the bases at a good gait, and then get in and get congratulated and get in the dugout. Nowadays they flip the bat and do all kinds of stuff. But if you didn't run around the bases at a pretty good pace in those days, I mean, the next player or you the next time up gets hit in the ribs.
Oh my God. It's like justice. Yeah.
It's justice. So
yeah, well, you remember the great Bob Gibson. I mean,
yep.
If you would have done that to him, I mean, he might have hit you the next two times you came up.
Oh man, I would love to see the rookie that hits the home run and goes crazy and doesn't know this, and then he gets up the bat and gets nailed.
Exactly.
Wow. So, Randy, you were all right. So, growing up, I know you went to high school. Did you go to college at all or no?
I did not.
Okay.
I don't want to share this and be a bad example, but I did not like school. All I wanted to do is go play sports. I couldn't get out of class, and depending on what the season was, with basketball, baseball, or whatever, I was out there playing.
Well,
and
listen.
you know, I just didn't. I had scholarship. I had offers like from Arizona State, USC, University of Southern California, to go and play college ball there. My grades were just good enough.
Yeah.
But there was no way. I told them wild horses aren't going to get me back in a classroom again. So, you know, out of high school, I was barely 18 years old, and I went off to Auburn, New York, and they play half seasons there. I was 9-2, a rookie, and actually hit .310. And so my first minor league season was off to a good start.
Well, listen, this is off track. College is not for everybody. And I think these days it's more acceptable and recognized that college is not for everybody. Really, it really isn't, you know. Okay, let's talk about, because we're in Philly, you were drafted by the Phillies in 1973, correct?
Yes, I was, and here's the end of this one, Gary. The trivia is that in those days, they wanted players out of high school. The teams did.
Wow.
Because they felt like if you went to college and played baseball, that they would screw you all up, and so they wanted to be able to get you out of high school as a kid, 18, 19 yeyears old or whatever, and be able to start you off as a kind of a baby out there. Doing it the right way, but I apologize. But that's kind of some trivia.
No, it's beautiful. Look, let's do this. To our audience, if you're just joining us now, we're speaking with Randy Lerch. Everybody knows who he is, unless if you were living under a rock, we'll tell you he was a former professional baseball pitcher. And our audience, whoever is just listening and wants to watch us right now, please go to Facebook, go to our page, Clean and Sober Radio, like these folks. And we got a group, Randy, that is watching us because of you. Let's run through some of these names. Len Freeze. Randy, you're watching, aren't you?
No, I'm sorry, I'm not.
Well, it says you are. Anyway, Kathy Wolf-Collin. Hi there. Mike Burke, listening and viewing from rain-soaked Ocean City, New Jersey. Bill Nolan. Wow. Sean Mitchell, Linda Carroll, happy Friday, everybody, from Wynwood, Pennsylvania. Laura Story says, congratulations, Randy. Keep up the great work that you're doing. And Laura is she's in Winter Haven, Florida. Jim Bilderback from Ventnor, New Jersey, another great broadcast. Love your guest, folks. Yeah, we're gonna go. We got a lot. My gorgeous daughter Sophia Hendler is watching. Linda Carroll's watching. All right, let's do this. We're gonna take a break, and Randy, don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're gonna get into some juicy stories from the famous Randy Lerch. We'll be right back.
This is Clean and Sober Radio.
A cancer diagnosis can knock the wind out of you. The Sidney Kimmel Cancer Center at Abington Jefferson Health can help. Our brand new Asplund Cancer Pavilion brings you 86,000 square feet of cancer-fighting science for truly comprehensive care. Backed by the strength of an NCI-designated cancer center. Call 1-800-JEFF now. The Sidney Kimmel Cancer Center at Abington Jefferson Health. The power to out-science cancer.
Hi, this is Dion, the Wanderer. Listen to Clean and Sober Radio. You might hear something that'll change your life. Yo!
610-632-8601. This is Clean and Sober Radio.
Welcome back to Clean and Sober Radio. And we have the pleasure of talking to one of our favorite, and for real favorite guests. Randy Lerch is with us, guys. And if, obviously from Philly, you know who he is with the Philadelphia Phillies. And then, Randy, you also played with several other teams. You were with the Milwaukee Brewers, the Montreal Expos, San Francisco Giants. Tell us for real, which city did you enjoy playing in the most?
And not because I'm talking to you guys. I loved Philadelphia.
All right.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, to the point where, as you know, in my book, when I had retired and I was drinking so heavy and everything fell apart when I, like I said, retired, I actually moved back to Philadelphia, and that's where Tug McGraw and Larry Christensen helped me. So it was kind of my roots there where, I knew the kindness when I was playing, and I found it again to help me through that time.
So, Randy, you were using while you were a major league pitcher, correct? Getting drunk?
I was taking greenies, amphetamines, before every game.
Before every single game, yeah.
Yeah, what was amazing is my first 7 starts in the major leagues, I wasn't drinking or taking greenies or anything, and I was 5-2. And then I had one of our very great pitchers say, "Well, you ought to take these greenies, and it'll make you a better pitcher." And so I wanted to be as good as that person, so I did it. Yeah. And it ended up. I just from that time I started taking greens. Believe it or not, I was 5-2, and I went 10 no decisions in a row. And I liked the feeling so much. You talk about a dummy, right? But I liked the feeling so much. And then when I would take those amphetamines, and I would go out and get drink, and until I got sleepy, probably 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And that's what addiction does to you, right?
Yeah, sure.
You like that feeling, and you want that feeling again, instead of realizing this addiction is ruining you.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
Mark and I can totally relate to that.
So from 11 years later, I was still taking pretty much almost every time I pitched, taking we call them greenies, but amphetamines. And I went from, a left-hander that could throw 95, 96 miles an hour, and to be a left-hander and be able to do that, to go somebody where they figured, you're going to, maybe you could be Hall of Fame material, to make myself to a 500 pitcher at best by being a drug addict, alcoholic.
Randy, was there a point when, we all, I think, came to a point when we know that we're fooling ourselves and thinking everything's okay. But there's a point where, if you're honest, you say to yourself, hey, man, when you look in the mirror and say, I got to do something about this, this is going to kill me.
But the great big word that got in my way, Gary, was pride.
Okay.
There was no way I was going to walk in and I was going to tell people that I needed help. And I also, every time it was time for me to start a game, I would go, oh, well, maybe it's not really the drugs.
Right.
Maybe I'd hate like heck not to take these. The teammates said these will really help you, even though I knew they weren't.
Right.
And so I did it again and again and again.
And it's that dependency, because then it's like, if I don't have them, right, am I going to be able to pitch? Did you get to that point?
No, that's how I felt. I felt if I didn't have them, would I perform the way that I should have? And, you talk about really, taking. I needed to take some smart pills because I wasn't very smart in those days. I should have figured out that those were, they were really weighting me down. It was causing me to not be the pitcher that I could have. I was minor league pitcher of the year. Right. I had gone 9-2. My second year, I got hurt in single A, in minor leagues. But in single A, I was 7-6, 16-6, and then after that, at 20 years old, went to the big leagues, and that was all without drugs. And then I go ahead and seven games into my major league season, including going into the seventh inning in Chicago for my first major league win with a no-hitter. And then I go ahead and I talk about it in the book, but I ended up when I took my first greenie, it was in Houston, And here I am all, I'm thinking, oh, man, I'm powerful. I'm feeling good. I got these amphetamines in me. And I gave up back-to-back home runs. And first time I'd ever done that in my life. You would think that was a wake-up call. And I went 10 no decisions in a row after first taking them.
Listen, we could rationalize with the best of them, We never really dealt with the reality. It was always some concoction of nonsense that we would tell ourselves to make us feel okay until a certain point when it wasn't okay. Let's talk. So we're talking about greenies, and let's talk about. Can we talk about Dr. Patrick Mazza?
Sure.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I think he has passed. By the way, I looked him up. Anyway, so he I
think he has.
Yeah, he was the Phillies doctor who was prescribing all these pills to you guys. Is that what happened?
Well, he was the doctor in Reading, Pennsylvania.
Yep.
He was the AA doctor, and just a wonderful guy. Of course, in those days, I didn't know what a greenie was.
Right.
And he was the one that all these guys, Boa and I don't know, it was Luzinski and those guys. They came through AA, and once they got in the big leagues, a lot of guys were taking those greenies, and they figured out how they were going to get somebody to write a prescription. I mean, Pete Rose, Carl, all these guys were taking them, and I want to say not Mike Schmidt and Maddox, not everybody, but they wanted to figure out how they could get those greenies, so they went and got them from Dr. Mazza, and it's funny. They had an exhibition game in, I talk about this in the book, in Reading, Pennsylvania, where we played the AA team. And one of my teammates, the same one that said, get these, try these greenies, he went and asked his doctor to fill a prescription for me without my permission.
Oh.
And this is how you imagine, here I am, I'm a 22-year-old kid, just making the major league, and I get during the game, after this exhibition game, which I did not go to, because I was pitching the next day, and the clubhouse kid comes to me and he goes, Randy, there's somebody at the clubhouse door that has a package for you. So I go to the clubhouse door, and it's one of Dr. Mazza's friends or helpers or whatever. He says, here, Randy, these were ordered for you. And I go, what is this? He goes, well, these are the pills you ordered. I go, huh?
Oh, God.
And so I ran back to the dugout during the game and asked this person, I said, there's somebody out there that wants to, trying to give me some pills. He goes, oh, I ordered those for you. He goes, just take them and pay the man. And it turns out after that, they were doing an investigation. What do they call it? Drug enforcement?
Yeah,
DEA.
DEA.
Type 3 or whatever, class drug.
Yeah.
And they were doing an investigation because a lot of the Phillies, their names were, on these prescriptions. And so it turns out that this went into a big investigation. It did a pretrial hearing, and everybody got up there and lied about it, said they never saw that doctor before in their life except me. I told the truth. Right. And it really cost me. I got traded after that, but I saved the doctor's practice.
Well, I know he was charged initially, and then they dropped the charges against him.
They dropped him because I told him that he did. They thought he was writing prescriptions with famous people's names, and the DA thought he was selling them.
Right.
But it wasn't the truth. He was just giving them the players.
Right.
And I told him the truth, and they kicked it out, and I got a beautiful letter from his family that thank God that I told the truth because you saved our daddy's, our father's practice.
Yes, license.
And maybe jail.
It's interesting. I'm thinking, it's during a game. you're running out to the clubhouse, you're getting a package, and that's like what was really happening. And the rest of the world, I mean, meeting the people that were at the baseball game, had no idea there was another side of this game, such as the pitcher, copping drugs during the game. Basically, it's like there's always another side of the story. It's interesting.
Well, it was terrifying because Rudy Carpenter, the owner at the time, they said, well, Rudy wants to talk to you up in his office.
Ooh.
Rudy never calls me to his office. And then he says that the prosecutor, the Pennsylvania DA's office and drug enforcement agency wants to talk to you. So it was terrifying.
Absolutely. Wow. Did your family know about this?
No, my family was in California, and I didn't really. I was pretty much a kid. He was on his own, but I had a family of my own. I was married. I just had a brand new baby daughter. And just had made the team out of spring training, and it was a very exciting time in my life. Except unless you want to call that part exciting too. But yeah, after that, when it was one of those things like you see on Extra or whatever, when they've got all the TV cameras and stuff and following us to the courtroom, and people putting microphones in your mouth or in your face, and then people were getting the press was getting my phone number, and from all over the country wants to talk to me. And then when I got traded, the newspaper said they were calling us the Philadelphia Phillies. And I've actually got I've got newspapers of it still this day. It was horrifying.
So, Randy, you were never charged, were you?
No, because I had not ordered those drugs. I got them, but I told them that somebody else ordered those for me. To this day I have not mentioned that person's name.
Right. Well, were you upset with that person?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Listen, don't mention his name. What are his initials?
Well, and
no, I'm not gonna.
so you would have been.
Figure it out.
Yeah, I know.
You would have been.
Yeah, but because just like Gary, just like my book.
Yeah.
There was a lot more that went in, like infidelity and all that.
Sure.
Stuff. There was a lot of, on both sides, and I could have really thrown a lot out there, but when I wrote the book because for baseball stories and to be able to help others struggling with addiction. So I went out there to tell how horrible addiction is and how tough it is to, to deal with it.
Randy, I have two questions. Was there a defining moment in your life that you decided you needed to get sober? That's my first question. And was there a defining moment in your life where you found God?
But I had found, I'm going to talk about it because God was first. I had actually was struggling so bad after I started taking the greenies that I was really struggling. I was in the middle of 10 no decisions in a row.
Yeah.
If I pitched good, I pitched good enough to get a no decision, or pitched bad enough to get a no decision.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got on my knees in my hotel room and asked the Lord to please comfort me,
right,
to live in me. And I had tried, like a lot of us are listening, in every way you could imagine to quit this horrible addiction.
Yeah.
And did you get that weak moment that you say, I'll just have one, or I'll just take one?
Yep.
And so many times we're a drug addict, we'll say, I'm not going to take any of these drugs, snorting cocaine, do this. I'll just have a beer. Well, then the beer knocks your inhibitions down, and then you take that drug, and then you're back off to the races again. But so I did that. I went to rehab. I had almost killed by a Great Pyrenees, run off a cliff in a car, been to jail, all that stuff.
Yep.
And then what finally got me was being diagnosed with cirrhosis and having my little Maria sitting in my lap thinking that I had just been given a death sentence after being called by my doctor. Basically, my doctor told me that you can go into liver failure any time. You're beyond help.
Oh my gosh.
And Maria sat in my arms, and we both sobbed. We just sobbed, and then she had her head on my chest and looked me in the eyes, and she says, "You promised me," and I'm just shaking, right? And I what? And she says, "Don't you leave me." She says, "But if you do, you promise you come back and get me."
Oh God.
So, that was the last day I drank 9 years ago.
You know, when somebody says that to you about your health, I'm imagining nothing else matters except getting well. Nothing. Money doesn't matter. Nothing matters except your health.
Well, what it is I always promote. You know, I've been go to AA meetings and all that stuff, rehab and all that. But you know, I always say it was the love of God that got me sober, because God put such love in my heart for Maria that after 40 years of drinking, I quit cold turkey.
Wow, and you give back so much. You're one of the type, you know, besides getting clean and sober, you give back to the community. And I think it's incredible because you have a platform just because of your name. And people look up to you, Randy, and it's good. It's almost like this is almost a job for you to tell your story, give back to the community, and show there is hope and there is help out there for us.
And that's a wonderful compliment, Gary, because you know I had another great compliment. My high school baseball coach, who had major leaguers come off of our high school team, and he told me, he goes, "You're probably the greatest pitcher I ever had come out of our high school." He goes, he goes, "I'm proud of you for that, but by you, what you've done with your book is not even compared. I'm so proud of you."
Boy, is that nice to hear, isn't it? Phew.
Oh yeah, he's the second or third in most in history in wins in high school games. He's 95 years old right now. That's pretty cool.
Wow. I got to mention one of our viewers, Randy, Laura Story, says, "Very much truly for your story. So proud of you for telling your story. Randy, love you for doing that." It's nice.
Oh, that's just beautiful, and Laura, that's what keeps me going. You know, I nothing makes me happier than just like at church, this last church. I always bring a couple books with me and a couple baseball cards, and hopefully they play for the team I played for. But I don't. I give the books away, right? Because I don't want people to think they had to pay for a book to get sober. And so I give those books out at church, or you know, if I go to our Celebrate Recovery, which we have at our church, and I spoke at, you know, they play music before, and then you know I spoke in our pastor will go out and interview me just like you guys are.
Yeah.
And then I, you know, answer questions for the people that are struggling with addiction, and you know, nothing's more rewarding than to help someone who's struggling, because we all know what it's like. We know how difficult it is. It took me 40 years, and God finally says, "Well, you won't quit. Well, why don't you try cirrhosis out?" But not only did He give me cirrhosis and like 3 months to live, but 9 years later, He's got me writing a book and sharing my story to others to help His children get clean and sober also.
That is fantastic. Our studio hotline is 610-632-8601. That's 610-632-8086. 8601. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to continue our discussion with Randy Lerch.
This is Clean and Sober Radio.
A cancer diagnosis can knock the wind out of you. The Sidney Kimmel Cancer Center at Abington Jefferson Health can help. Our brand new Asplund Cancer Pavilion brings you 86,000 square feet of cancer-fighting science for truly comprehensive care. Backed by the strength of an NCI-designated cancer center. Call 1-800-JEFF now. The Sidney Kimmel Cancer Center at Abington Jefferson Health. The power to out-science cancer.
Hey everybody, this is Tommy James, and you're listening to Clean and Sober Radio, and so am I.
610-632-8601. This is Clean and Sober Radio.
And you are listening or watching Clean and Sober Radio. I'm Gary Hendler, along with Mark Sigmund, and we're interviewing, it's more like a discussion because it's our buddy on the other line, Randy Lerch, former Major League Baseball pitcher. Well, that must have been some job. Hey, Randy, let's talk about the big white dog.
Oh, he's...
What happened?
Isn't that something? That shows you with alcohol. I wasn't taking any drugs, but boy, this is when I was at my height of drinking vodka. I was drinking a quart of vodka a day. And
ooh, that's a lot.
I had walked over to, there was this girl that was babysitting a house.
Yeah.
And I couldn't drive, of course.
Right.
I literally was too drunk to drive.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning I couldn't even probably have gotten behind the steering wheel. That's how drunk I was. But there was, she was house sitting, and there was this great big white dog in the backyard, and it was huge. She had no idea what it was, but she says, I said, look, it was chained up, and she says, I said, oh, what a beautiful dog, and she says, I heard that dog's mean. You know, I go, oh, no, he's a drunken meat. You know, oh, no, that's, the dogs, animals love me. Dogs love me.
Oh, jeez.
And I walked up. It was wagging its tail.
Yeah.
And I started patting it on the head and, all that stuff. It was wagging its tail and all that stuff. And then it was time for me to go. It was time for me to go. But
right.
It's not, he wasn't thinking I was going to go. And I turned around, and all of a sudden, I was on the ground before you know it.
Jeez.
And it was power like I never felt. I mean, I've gotten in fights, bench clearing brawls and stuff like that, and big league baseball players are pretty strong, but I've never found power like this. It was a Great Pyrenees.
Whoa.
The dog, 160, 170 pounds. It's a wolf. And they're bred in Switzerland, I believe. Somebody can look it up, but this is what I understand. They were like, they helped to clear bears and stuff away from the cattle in the fields, and they're just powerful animals. And by God's grace, I mean, I wasn't that long out of baseball, and I was still really strong. And it drugged me down by my arm, and then got on top of me. And its huge teeth, these canine fangs were just ripping holes in my arm.
Oh, my God.
And I had a hold of its jowls, its cheekbones, or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
And I could just see its teeth, and it was lunging at my throat.
Oh.
And it ripped a hole. It took the top of my bone right off of my left arm. I still got a big old scar from it. And so I was literally bleeding profusely. And by God's grace, I was able to roll it over and get on top of it. And I remember I'm thinking, now how am I going to get away from it? But thank God it was changed. And I remember I was strong enough to take it and shove it and jump. And then I look down, and you know how the blood's just squirting.
Yeah.
And the girl comes out. And my God, the hospital wasn't but like 5 minutes away, by God's grace again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I walked in, and I remember the nursing staff. They looked like, my God, you're bleeding. And they got me on the operating table, and I spent hours on the operating table being sewed back up. But, I mean, all it had taken was just one lunge, and it had me by the throat. And the doctor said that the one fang, or whatever you want to call it, missed my main artery by just millimeters, just tiny, or I'd have bled to death. So God had a plan.
I guess so.
Along with the,
Did that sober you up that day, or what?
I had been on such a bender. I had been like on a 2-week bender.
Yeah.
I was on a thing where I would drink. I fill a glass of water a water glass.
Yeah.
With just a splash of cranberry juice.
Yeah.
On top, and then I'd guzzle it, and then I'd pass out, and I'd be in and out until the bottle ran out. But then, before it got too bad, I was getting the shake so bad that I couldn't get a glass to my face or to drink. So I learned that if I got a straw, I could get a straw and hold on to the straw, shaking so bad until I got some alcohol in there, and the shakes would subside, and then drink it down and I keep doing that until my friends came and got me and took me to the detoxing hospital.
Wow, boy, you're a lucky man. I mean, it's so terrifying to think you're actually fighting an animal that you can't rationalize with, and it's all about strength, luck, or whatever, that you were able to get away.
Yeah, it was like I said. It was for me. It was God's grace. There's so many things, so many times. I rolled the car off the hill and hit a tree.
Yeah.
And when it was Rescue 911, where the firemen were bringing me up the side of the hill, I mean, it just goes on and on.
Of course.
I'm here, and I'm doing my best to pay it back because I just feel like, God has a reason. He doesn't make mistakes, and I'm here to. I've actually through Facebook and stuff, people have sent me their stories, and then I'll send my book free of charge. I'll send my book to them and talk to them and stuff because I know how tough it is to quit your addiction. I mean, we all know.
Yeah. And
by God's great grace, if we can do that, because you hear so many stories, you guys, that that ends up in a bad situation too.
Well, Randy, we're up against the clock right now, but we always appreciate you coming on because you inspire a lot of people. You give our audience hope, and you just have a great story, and we really appreciate you coming on. Mark and I consider you a dear friend of Clean and Sober Radio.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes,
Well,
and years.
Thank you so much. And, if any of the Philly fans or whatever out there's still some old Philly stories in there that never heard, and then there's some real there's some of these sober stories out there that will really wake you up.
Absolutely. And listen, everybody, go to Amazon, get Randy's book, God in the Bullpen. I did read it. Even Randy thinks I didn't read it, but I did read it. And
I love to tease you.
I know you do. I know you do. So
you guys are family. So.
Well, that means a lot to us. Thank you very much, Randy. Have a great weekend, and we'll be reaching out to you again. All right.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, I always look forward to it, you guys. God bless you.
God bless you
too, Randy.
Stay well.
Thanks again.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
What a great guy, Randy
Awesome
Lerch.
guy.
I think we're up is that about it?
Grooving ourselves. I hope we pass the auditioning.
Hey, thanks again, everybody. Again, Brad, Mark, Tyler, thanks everybody. Have a great weekend, and we'll catch you the next time.